Our final speaker is Mr. Ercan Ayboğa, and he's going to talk about the international campaigns to save Hasankeyf and what can we do for future. And Ercan Ayboğa is an environmental engineer and an activist. He was one of the founders of the initiative to keep Hasankeyf alive in 2006. He also co-founded the Tatort Kurdistan campaign in Germany, and he co-wrote the book Revolution in Rojava. He lived in Ahmed, Diyarbakir for several years and is active in Mesopotamian ecology movement, which campaigns for building an ecological society in North Kurdistan. And he was particularly involved in several water struggles that the local people were involved. Ercan, now it's your turn. And you have 15 minutes as well, please. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Kurd-Akad, for inviting me to speak about the Tigris Dam, Hasankeyf, and issues beyond it. First, I would like to give some important points about the struggle of the last years to understand the situation now better. I will do it not long. In 1997, the Turkish government announced the construction of the Tigris Dam, and just 1 year later, campaigns started around the Tigris region and also in Europe, because the finance was planned to come from Europe. So between 1998 and 2002, there was a first campaign. It stopped when the first Tigris consortium broke away in 2002. The campaign against Tigris Dam, often called the Hasankeyf campaign, is one of the two important campaigns in North Kurdistan. The other one is the campaign against the dams on the Munzur River and the region of Dersim. The two contributed a lot to critical, ecological, and cultural awareness in the society of North Kurdistan and partly also in other parts of Turkey. In 2005, the new consortium started by the current government, and very fast we started a new campaign. The mentioned initiative to keep Hasankeyf alive has been founded. 2006 to 2009, there was intensive campaign. At the end, we were successful to stop the finance from Europe. We means our initiative, other people in Turkey, groups, and many NGOs and activists in Europe, in several states, at least 6, 7, including UK. This was a successful campaign, important one. After 2009, the issue became more complex because now there was only the Turkish government left as the ones who decided about the project. So we campaigned targeted the Turkish government, but also the Turkish banks which are involved. 2010, when the construction started, the issues became more difficult for us because the state could finally implement this project step by step even. In 2011, our campaign became weaker, but at the moment we established relations in 2012 with groups in Iraq, different groups, to campaign together against the Tigris Dam. And this campaign called Save the Tigris campaign still continues. We'll come back to it later. In this year, 2011-12, the mentioned Mesopotamian ecology movement has been founded. It's a network of ecologist groups and activists and all over of North Kurdistan. It was a new step. To have this campaign, the campaign against Tigris Dam was important because the Hasankeyf Tigris campaign contributed to discussions. People requested the issues of hydro energy, of cultural heritage, to save cultural heritage, to think about what's about their nature and this issue. So Together with the other political developments, these issues became important for a big number of people. So then, 2013, 14, and 15, the Ilisu Dam has been stopped once more, once by the court decision, once by the action of the PKK guerrilla, and then there was a workers' strike. So in total, we say the Ilisu Dam has been stopped five times. Each time the Turkish government was able to reorganize finance or change the laws or increase the repression to continue with this project. The project is a strategic project. It's a reason why. 2015, our campaign had a revival at local level, international level, and then we started with international action days. But again, 2015-16, the upcoming war by the Turkish state on the Kurds, on the society, limited our campaign, and the issue with the military coup in Turkey made it extremely hard for us. And the Turkish government used this time to continue with the construction. Otherwise, we would have been able maybe to stop it, to delay it, we never know. Because the issue became very important in the society. So then the years continued, we did some action days, we didn't give up, but the issue was always difficult. Last year in April, we organized the Mesopotamia Water Forum in Slimani, in South Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan. The first time activists from all over Mesopotamia and beyond came together to speak about water in the region. There were two messages. First, no big water infrastructure, especially like dams or big irrigation projects. And we refuse it. We don't say we want to use our water, but not in the way. A fair use of water among all stakeholders in considering the cultural heritage and our nature, not only the humans. This was such a forum where we had the second important message: water for peace, water for better relations between all the people of Mesopotamia, not for weaponizing. So hundreds of people joined us. Just a few weeks later, back in Turkey or in Europe anyway, the campaign became very strong last year. Maybe some of you remember last year we had a strong campaign in Turkey, in North Kurdistan. Hundreds of artists joined our campaign. We did 3 action days last year, 3 different ones. When I spoke about artists, were also many famous artists from Turkey, Kurdish and Turkish. So the first time, even in the society of Turkey, there were so much critical voices against this Ilisu Dam. Politicians of almost all oppositional parties even said no to this dam. Anyway, this was also the moment that after the local elections where the AKP lost in the most cities of Turkey, or the most crucial ones, and we made a very intensive campaign. We could even delay the start of the announced filling of the Ilisu Dam. Nevertheless, just 1-2 months later, last summer, they did it, but we continued with the campaign. We always say, no, the Ilisu Dam, the Tigris Valley, including Hasankeyf, is too important for us to give up just because they started the filling. So we continued. We tried to have a camp in Hasankeyf. Young people want to do it, but the repression was high. And there you could see how difficult it is to campaign as a civil society in North Kurdistan. And the Turkish state builds dams or other destructive investment projects also in west and north of Turkey in the same intensity, but there's no much difference to Kurdistan. But how they implement it, that's the difference, with more heavier human rights violation and political repression. Anyway, over the second part of the last year and this year, the filling progressed, And with the Rojava invasion of last year, it became very difficult, more difficult again to campaign. So when we came to May, the dam was filled. In May, the Ilisu Dam, end of May or beginning of June, the Ilisu Dam reservoir had become completely filled, and Hasankeyf for maybe 90% has been flooded. You have seen the pictures. It's very difficult to look where was Hasankeyf. You see different pictures, you cannot understand it. So, however, what's the situation now? But maybe one more point about the water geostrategy. There was a dispute between Turkey and Iraq. Iraq never accepted the dam construction of Ilisu Dam, but they never argued publicly so much against Ilisu Dam. They were also carefully because of their bad policies. But just 2 years ago, Turkey and Iraq, they did prepare an agreement, water agreement on the use of water. So Iraq came to a point where they accept the Ilisu Dam. In the years before, we did meetings even with Iraqi parliamentarians that they should act against this dam. Anyway, unfortunately. So what we have, what situation? Fact is, the Tigris Valley is flooded for a big part. Hasankeyf's underwater, 199 villages completely or partly are flooded. At least 25,000 have been displaced just in these last months, and 50,000 more people are in the risk to leave their homes very soon. So that's why we speak of 70, 80,000 affected people. They have 80,000 people have lost their livelihoods. That's a different issue. Anyway, but we say, as I mentioned it, we continue with the campaign as an initiative to keep Hasankeyf alive as Mesopotamian ecology movement. We don't give up because this project is in no way acceptable. The reasons for the construction of this dam have been described. But there are reasons to continue with this campaign. The first one is about the rights of the affected people, of the ones which now become poorer, are now living in the poor neighborhoods or in bad settlement sites. That's the first point. It's an issue which will continue. The more we can document and stay in contact with them and bring it to the public, the more they get a little more compensation and build better living situations. The second one is the impacts on the society in a more regional context, because it's changed so much there. There's now a big water reservoir among a bigger territory. It affects the climate now. We will have a regional climate change like in the Euphrates area. It will affect the agriculture, will affect transport, and a lot of issues in the society. This needs to be followed. The impacts, another point is impacts on the cultural heritage. Still, you know, the flooding have been completed, but still some impacts you can experience just now. So it will take time. And the rock castle of Hasankeyf, which is not flooded, has a risk to crack down completely. They have built a wall around it, but there are risks that this can also break away in the next years. That's another issue. And the impacts on Iraq and Rojava are issues to be followed up. We see how Turkey used just now in these weeks the dams on the Euphrates River against Rojava and other parts of Syria. It's an extreme violation of rights, and maybe in the history there's no other states which weaponize water in this way and very open. And there were issues in the past, but so long time. Since 2016, they stopped the seize the water of Rojava again and again. So that's a crime. And They do it in Serikaniye, Haseke, where the area which has been invaded last year, and so on. So this is another issue. This has been bring to the public, criticized, and there must be campaigns so that Turkey is not able to use water in a so simple way against the Kurds and longer term also the Arabs of Mesopotamia. There's one more reason to continue with the campaign, and then I came to the end. I guess I have 15 minutes. It is no construction of humans is for the eternity, I think. This construction especially is from concrete, from the embankment dam, there's metal and so on. And it is something which is we would say rape of nature in the upper Tigris region. It's destroying nature, culture, and people, and it has only positive impacts for the Turkish government and some companies, some big landowners, that's all, and nobody else. That's why this dam is no way acceptable. We are not in a point where we say, okay, we can arrange with this dam if it's operated a little better, more social or so. No, we don't want this dam. That's why we can say this dam should be removed. Yes, removed. Dams can be removed. There is an experience even now in the UK in the last years. In the USA, France, there are bigger dams which have been removed, not so big like the Ilisu Dam, but this is technically possible. The main issue is that there is a political will and a political decision. And the Tigris Valley is too important for the people living there, for the people living in the downstream region, that this dam should operate any time longer.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ercan.